Let's talk about the civil rights movement in America. It happened in the 1950s and 60s. I'm sure you've heard of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and you may have seen black and white photos from the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. People all dressed up, wearing suits and ties and fancy hairstyles, carrying signs at marches and sit-ins. What were they protesting? And did their protests bring about change? The American civil rights movement took place during a time of conflict and rapid change. Across the country, people rose up against inequality and worked hard to gain and protect civil rights. Civil rights are rights that are defined and protected by the law. The right to vote, the right to quality education, the right to use public transportation, the right to play in a park or swim in a public pool. From the end of the Civil War through the first half of the 20th century, people of color, especially Black Americans, were denied these rights through segregation. So-called Jim Crow laws restricted the ability to vote, allowed public spaces and services to be designated whites only, and prevented Black and white students from attending the same schools. During the 1950s and 60s, activists including Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. protested against these laws. They demanded change using nonviolent actions like boycotts, sit-ins, and marches. Eventually, the civil rights movement led to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Now you know that civil rights are rights that are defined and protected by the law. These rights include the right to vote, the right to quality education, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Change during the civil rights movement did not come easy. How did civil rights leaders and activists work to end segregation? Let's find out.